my name's Rich DiStanislao. I'm with the Daiichi chapter of Trout Unlimited, and I'm your feature tyer for today. I would like to introduce you to tying the Isonychia Nymph. The Isonychia is a mayfly, and it is found in most of our streams here in Pennsylvania, particularly in the Little Juniata. The mayfly hatches twice a year here in Pennsylvania. We have one hatch in late May, early June, and the more prolific hatches at the end of September. The nymph is a swimmer. It's a fast nymph, and the most outstanding characteristic is the white medial stripe, which we'll emphasize during our tying. So I would like to introduce you to tying the Isonychia Nymph. We're going to tie the Isonychia Nymph, which is a swimming nymph. It's a slender nymph, very active nymph. One of the strongest characteristics of this is the white medial stripe that goes through the wing case and all the way down to the tail. Also notable is the Isonychia Nymph has plate-like gills on both sides of the abdomen that are very active and undulate a lot. And I'm going to try to represent that with some ostrich herl. So just a little bit about it. These nymphs are very active. They swim from the middle of the pool to the shore and actually emerge from nymphs into the duns on rocks and on grass. They're above the water when they split and hatch out. So anyway, this is a swimming nymph, Isonychia, Slate Drake nymph. I'm using a swimming nymph hook. TMC makes this. It's a model 400. Daiichi makes the same model. And I'm using a size 12 in the swimming nymph. You can see the curve that I have in the hook, in the hook in the vise. You can see the curve in the hook. All right, I'm using brown thread. This happens to be 8/0 unithread. And I'm coating the body. Back to the bend. I'm going to use the tips of 3 peacock herls for the tail. So I want these tips to be the same length. There they are. And I'm going to tie them in. The tails are not long. The tails are about half the body length. So I've tied the tails in. Snip off the excess. Now I'm going to start tying in different pieces. The medial strip comes in first. This is ultra wire brassie size in white. I'm going to tie this in, let it hang out over the tail. Now, I want to lock everything down when I tie. I'm using some very, very fine gold wire, very fine, that I want to use as a ribbing. I'm going to tie this in next. If it doesn't slip out. Tie it back to the tail. For the gills, I want to use a really nice ostrich herl in a medium gray color. That gets tied in next. So I have these three things. the ultra wire brassie white wire, very, very fine gold wire, and a gray dun-colored ostrich herl hanging out the back over the tail. Now I'm ready to dub the body on. And because this is a nymph and it's going to be underwater, I'm using real fur. This is rabbit fur that I blended the color myself. It's a brownish, maroonish mixture. I threw some gray in with it and mixed it up till I got the color that I wanted. I just kept pulling it apart, putting it back together. And this is the color that I want the abdomen to be. So I'm going to get some fur, get some wax, tacky wax on my fingers, and start dubbing this fur onto the thread. When I have about 3 inches, I'm going to start to wind. I'm starting back at the tail. Now, the Isonychia Nymph actually has a flat body, but I just choose not to build the body out flat. Instead, my ribbing will take care of this. So I'm adding more fur. I want to get this up to the bend, up to the dip in the hook. I'm almost there. Actually, just a slight bit more. I want to make a little foundation too for the wing case when I tie it on. There, comfortable with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the ostrich herl. Now this stuff is pretty fragile, and I'm going to make some open turns, about 4 to 5 turns coming up the abdomen. Don't pull hard because this ostrich herl can break rather easily. There, did it without breaking. Tying it off. Now I'm going to take the white brassie wire and pull it straight over the back. Pull it pretty tight so that it's across the back. That's your medial stripe. And now I'm going to use the fine gold wire to kind of rib loosely everything. So if this ostrich herl breaks, the whole fly doesn't come apart. I'm going to tie off the gold wire. The gold wire, now the ribbing, I can snip. The white brassie wire, I'm going to fold back just out of the way. Now I want to do a wing case. And I have some black thin skin. And I'm going to cut about maybe a 1/4 inch wide. Maybe a little less than 1/4 inch. About that wide. Cut a triangle. peel off the backing from the thin skin. And with the shiny side up for the wing case, where I have the point, tie the point in. I always like to make the point when I tie in a wing case or cell foam or vinyl. That point keeps you centered. And now I'm ready for some more dubbing. I'm going to dub the thorax. The exact same dubbing that I used for the abdomen that I mixed, I'm going to dub the thorax with. I like the thorax to be just a little bit thicker. Make it a chesty fly. A little bit more dubbing. Bit more dubbing. Just a tad more. And see, I've still left room for a head on this. Now, I need some legs, and what I have is partridge. I take a brown partridge feather, strip off the fluff, cut a V in the stem and hold with the V pointing back, make a couple of loose turns and pull forward till the legs are the length that you want. Now I can lock this down, cut off the excess, take my wing case, I'm going to split these legs with the wing case so that the legs stick out of both sides. When I tie this wing case in, I've tied it behind the eye, then I'm going to stand the plastic up and tie a couple of wraps in front of it and then back over it again. This ensures that when I cut this, it's not going to slip back out. Lastly, I'm going to take the white medial stripe over top of the wing case. That's the white brassie wire. Lock it in. Same thing up at the eye. Stand it up, couple turns in front, couple turns behind. Cut the white wire. Fold any excess back. Do my whip finish on the head. Cut my thread. There's my Isonychia Nymph. Very effective nymph. Again, it's an active swimmer. You can, when you fish this, you cast it into the pool and you bring it towards the shore. And don't be afraid to give it a lot of action as you do so. One of my favorite nymphs.